The Ezra Miller story takes another turn, which now involves the police multiple times showing up to question the actor at their house, because right now, what we're hearing about the mother that's involved with this whole scenario is that it's a missing persons case report. Okay, so this update comes at us from People magazine, but also they're referencing the original report from Rolling Stone and various other reports we've seen, whether it was police departments or whoever involved, whether it's other media companies or whatever. And essentially now we're getting more details on the multiple visits that the police in Vermont had when it came to Ezra Miller's whereabouts, household, and reporting there multiple times trying to figure out what's going on. Essentially, the Star, as we've covered, was trying to evade the police, and finally the Vermont state attorney and the police caught up with them, and they were able to serve whatever papers were served, but they came back again. Now this is due to the whereabouts of a 25-year-old mother and her 3 kids, ranging from ages 1 to 5, and they're trying to more or less find the whereabouts of all of them because they can't. And the family of the 25-year-old is being reported the ones to file this, more or less what they're saying is kind of like a missing persons report, right? You haven't heard from them, so please help us find them. And the last report they had was, well, the mother was there with the children, left there possibly months ago alone while Ezra Miller was doing other things. Or is this connected to that weird cult in Iceland that he was a part of? Again, it's all sorts of different stories compounding onto one. Essentially what we have here is a giant mess. I think you guys can tell. And this thing is just getting a little bit more out of hand. Now, again, the more that we get from the development of this story, the more we're learning that things are just getting really quickly bizarre, and getting bizarre in multiple ways. The other interesting piece of, info to add here is that Vermont State Police and the Child Services and families who are involved do not respond because of confidentiality, but when trying to get reps for Miller to respond, they are not offering anything. They're not saying anything, even sending out we're not going to comment on this. There's nothing. And again, with the recent reports that Ezra, during all of this and all of this being known, was still being pushed to shoot scenes while all of this is happening, I think it's painting an interesting picture on just how Hollywood is treating this whole situation that's very publicly disturbing, to say the least. And especially when we compare it to some other actors in recent history that have done things that are honestly on par, some not as bad, but some worse, and how they've been, outcast, rightfully so, and looked down upon and shunned by Hollywood. It's interesting that despite all of this, there's still nothing happening. So it's going to be interesting to see what else happens. The one thing that I wanted to note that People magazine said is that Ezra Miller very much remained non-responsive, as they say, contradicting info when offering info and then remaining silent. So the reason that they can't seem to follow up on any singular story or clue or anything is because there's conflicting info coming from the actor and everybody involved. So again, keep talking about this situation, but I have a feeling it's not going to get better anytime soon because it seems to be getting worse, and I'm afraid just what we might discover soon involving this woman.